webinar today. For those of you who are not familiar with SalesPad on today's webinar, SalesPad is a software provider for the Dynamics GP channel, and we have built out a suite of tools to help you enhance your Dynamics GP experience. Today we'll take a look at our warehouse management solution, data collection, and then you'll also see glimpses of our core SalesPad product because I'll need to place and create some orders and purchase orders today. But just to quickly highlight the rest of the suite of products that SalesPad offers, we offer a card control product that allows you to take credit card payments quickly and efficiently both within SalesPad and Dynamics GP. And this product has been PADSS verified, so as you're working through PCI compliance, that product can help you with that. From a customer relationship management standpoint, we have an email add-in that works with Outlook. So as you're communicating within Outlook, you can send copies of those emails directly onto the customer card within SalesPad. Now, mobilely, we have taken our core SalesPad product and made it available both in the Android and iOS operating system through a mobile app. And to enhance that mobile experience, we've also created a mobile boards product that allows you to create reporting based off your SQL database to have easy access to that on your mobile device. And then our last product that we have displayed here over on the right-hand side is our Additions product, which allows you to pull in your user-defined fields that you're creating within SalesPad into Dynamics GP for easy access. But let's go ahead and we will jump right into the data collection component. So with our data collection product, you can use that in combination with our core SalesPad product or exclusively with Dynamics GP. From your mobile device, and today we'll take a look at receiving a purchase order and then also picking out a sales order. But you can also do bin and site transfers off of your handheld device, stock counts, inventory adjustments, print your labels. And today we'll take a look at it in the Windows platform, but it's also available in the Apple iOS platform as well. So like I mentioned, we will take a look at the data collection product today off of a mobile handheld scanner, but I did want to show you before we moved into that the iOS version of it. So just laid out a little differently, and when we mention that iOS version of it, we have customers running data collection off of full iPads, mini iPads, iPods, and all the way down to iPhones. So we are going to go ahead and get started here, and I'm just going to close this PowerPoint down. We'll go ahead and get logged into the handheld scanner. Now, from a handheld scanner point, I'm running this off of a Windows emulator here on my laptop, but think of out in the warehouse standpoint, any handheld scanner that you may have in the warehouse running Windows would be very similar to this. So within your warehouse, one of the most important things is to make sure that you have a wireless connection to keep your device connected at all times. And then that would be the same with the iOS. You would need to have that running either on a wireless connection or a 4G and 3G connection. Now, there is a full security editor built within data collection, so depending on what you want to give your user access to is really driven down to an individual user or group. So for example, if you had a user that you didn't want them to be able to do site transfers from the handheld device, you would just simply shut that security off and the button would display there, but you wouldn't be able to select the button. Now, from a navigation standpoint, this is our main menu in our Windows version of data collection. And then you'll notice that you have some navigations down here at the right. So if I select my right arrow here, It gives me some additional functionality that we've recently added to be able to do label printing, ASN receipts, and then manufacturing transaction entries. Now this is our main handheld component, so this is what you would be using mobily. And then the other component of data collection that you would have installed and running on a desktop or on your server someplace is your data collection console. So most people are going to have your data collection server running as a service someplace. Based on me having everything here on the laptop, I do have that up and running. But here from your main data collection component, you have the ability to print individual labels or bins. So let's say, for example, I needed to print a given item label. I could come here, select the ability to print, type in my item number, and then print that label out. Now, from a label printing standpoint or a bin printing standpoint, this is really just driven by how you have those printed forms or labels set up. Many of our customers who are printing labels are using some form of zebra type label printers, and you would just simply map and set those up to be able to print directly out of data collection. We'll also come back here in a moment. Let me go ahead and get this closed down. When we go and move into the actual purchase order receiving side, we'll come back here and take a look at our receipt processing and take a look at what options you have here on your desktop component as well. Let's go ahead. I am going to pull up SalesPad here and just simply create an order for us to pick off of. Now remember, I'm generating this order within SalesPad, but you could, if you're not running our core SalesPad product, still use data collection within Dynamics GP as well. So I am on my customer card here, and I'm just going to build out a quick order here. So we'll go ahead and enter some items on here. So the two items that I've entered thus far are just non-serialized items, but I do want to go ahead and look up something that's serial or lot tracked. So we'll go ahead and add some wire here. We'll do a quantity of 2. So we have 3 items that we're going to go ahead and pick on this sales order here. Now within SalesPad, when I release this order, it is going to move it out into my picking queue for me. Give me one moment. I'm just going to So as I'm releasing this order here, I want to go ahead and highlight some options that you have from a pick ticket standpoint. Now, I'll show you on the handheld how you could pick this entire sales order without having a pick ticket, or what many of our customers do, they will take on their pick ticket, which will pop up here in just a moment. And what they'll do on their pick ticket is they will barcode their pick ticket. So if they're still using a paper copy, you would take your handheld device and scan the top of your pick ticket for it to pull in your order. And then I've seen customers break it down as well, depending on if your items are barcoded or not. They may add individual item barcodes onto the pick list as well. Okay, so this order has been moved into my picking queue, which tells me that it's ready to be picked. So we'll go ahead and we'll pull up our handheld device here and work through picking that order. So I'm going to go ahead and select picking on my handheld device. Now, if I had that pick list with a barcode on it, I could scan that and then it would pull right here into the document number. But if you don't have a printed form, you do have access to everything within your picking batch by selecting the blue hyperlink selected through the document number here. And what this does for me is gives me access to all of my sales orders within that picking batch, so I could select one of those. We'll let the screen catch up here with me in just a moment. I am just going to go ahead and restart my emulator here. Now, as this is restarting and we get that picking process pulled back up, we'll go ahead and we'll just simply work through that sales order and pick each one of those line items. And then ultimately, when that order is picked, submit it on into the next part of our process. And as we're doing that picking process, what it's doing is actually fulfilling each one of those line items for us. And I apologize for the technical delay here. We're just going to go ahead and reopen this. These window emulators can be touchy at times, so. There we go. So we'll go ahead and select our picking button. And when we hit our document number button here, these are all of the orders that I have out there within my picking queue. So when I select the document that I want to fulfill and hit OK, it's going to go ahead and pull that document number here into the screen. Now, from a setting and functionality standpoint, I can have it pull my first item onto the sales order here into the item number for me, or I can have it set up where I'm selecting that item. So if it was the case that you had the item there in front of you with a barcode on it, you would scan it, or you can select your item link and it will pull up your items here. So we'll go ahead and we'll start with this first item, the HD40. So we'll go ahead and highlight it and hit OK. Now, since I do have this broke down into a multi-bin scenario, I could go ahead and scan that bin in here, or I have the option and that hyperlink to see all of the bins that are available. And you can either have it default a standard quantity here, or you can have it where the box is empty. So we'll just go ahead and submit to. We'll go ahead and select our next item here, and you'll notice that it's now updated that we no longer need to pick any of the HD40s. We'll move down to the HD50. We're going to pull that from the dock as well. Now let's say I try to, for example, put a quantity of 4 in here. When I hit submit, it's going to tell me that I cannot overpick this item. Now, if I only put 2 in here, for example, it will allow me to continue on, but you'll notice down here at the bottom of the emulator, it has told me that I still need to pick 1. And then we'll go ahead and go back and select our third item, which is our wire. Now, one thing that you'll notice here, it moved us right down into the lot field. So if you are picking items that are serialized or lot, you do have the option here to enter that piece in. And then we have that same functionality if I do a lot lookup. It shows me all of my lots that this wire is in, and then the quantity available in each one of those lots. Now, ultimately, when I submit this order, since this has been fully picked, it's going to tell me that it's fully picked up here at the top. And you can choose what batch that it continues on in within SalesPad or GP. So in my scenario, when I submit a order from data collection, it moves it from the picking queue to the shipping queue. Now that was from a picking standpoint, so just picking a sales order or picking against an invoice. I want to go ahead and take a look at the receiving side of things. So you'll notice that it looks very similar to the picking screen. And I'm going to go ahead and just jump here into SalesPad and generate a quick purchase order. So I have my vendor card pulled up. And I'm just going to add those same 3 items that we were working with here onto the purchase order. And since I run in a multi-location, I do need to put what warehouse I want to receive these in. So we now have a purchase order number here. And I am just, for the sake of time, because I have a feeling that I should just reopen this back up here. Now, ultimately, when we receive this purchase order on the handheld device, what we are doing is generating the receipt from the handheld device, but ultimately that receipt would still need to be posted within GP. So what many of our customers will do is they will batch those receipts. So depending on your business practices, they would go into GP and then receive all of those receipts at one time within a batch. And thank you for your patience as we get logged back in here. We are going to go ahead and just do a quick change of direction here, and I'm going to jump over to the iOS side of things. I am just connecting my iOS device right now, so you can go ahead and see that. And like I said, thank you for your patience here as I get this connected back in. Okay, we are back up and running. So moving on to receiving that purchase order, we're going to go ahead and hit our receiving button here. And if that purchase order comes in as barcoded, great, we can go ahead and scan that. Or if we hit our PO number here, it will go ahead and pull in all of our purchase orders that we expect to receive. So we'll go ahead and select that one that we just generated here. And then that same functionality we've seen on the picking side, we have on the item side. So we can go ahead and select our item that we are going to receive in. So since this is not a lot or serialized item, it moved us right down to the quantity that we're going to be receiving. And I'm going to tell them what bin I'm going to place it in. We'll go ahead and hit submit. Now, you do have the ability with the right security access on receiving to overpick. So you'll note, to over receive. So you'll notice on this purchase order for the HD50, we're expected to receive 20, but I'm going to go ahead and just type in 21 here. And if the security was turned on correctly, it would tell you that, are you sure you want to over-receive, and you hit yes. So I'm just going to go ahead and kick this back down to 20. It is just giving me all kinds of fits today. Go ahead and start this item here again. Let's move down to our wire. Now this is a lot tracked item, so depending on how you're working through, you can either enter in your lot number or have GP auto assign that lot number. And we are receiving 5 of those, and then we'll go ahead and submit. Now, based on the fits that it is giving me here, if this was working properly, it would tell me that a receipt was generated with each one of these items. Now, business as usual, if for some reason there's something remained open on the purchase order, you would still need to adjust that within GP. So that purchase order would remain open until all of those items are received, or it has been line item adjusted within GP. I want to go ahead and move over to back to the desktop version of data collection and show you from a receiving standpoint what you have access to do. So we're going to go ahead and we will open the receipt processing window here. And many of my customers use this if they want to go ahead and print labels, or if they're looking on a daily basis what purchase orders they plan on receiving based to what receipts are out there. So you'll notice over on the left-hand side, you have the ability to show any of your purchase orders. And then over on the right-hand side, you have the ability to, based on your day criteria, pull in your receipt. You also have the ability to show history here as well. Now, this history button comes in handy if maybe your receipts have already been posted within GP for that day, but maybe you wanted to go back and reprint some labels. You definitely have the option to do that here. So if I wanted to come in here and print labels manually versus having them auto print someplace, I can come here to my receipt processing window, select my lines that I want to print, select print, and then print out those labels. And then you'll notice here, since that wire, because I printed some wire labels, since those are lot tracked, it's building in that lot for me. So this is from the receipt window, but if I needed to go print, remember this item label separately, I could come back into my print item labels. So if there's a damaged item, I could definitely come in here and do that. Now, in the case of an item that you are tracking your lot attributes associated with that given item, you can, within the desktop version here, come in and manage your serial lot attributes for a given item. So for example, if I wanted to update the lot attributes for a given item, if I select that item, I have the ability to come in and manage any restrictions, any user-defined fields I've set up for that lot. And if we go back to our main screen here, with the right security access, you can open the GP lot attribute editor and enter your standard lot attributes here as well. Now these lot attributes will read and write back and forth to the GP lot attribute fields. And then if you're tracking them above and beyond, you can store down to the lot level additional SalesPad user-defined lot fields. Now there is also from the handheld side of, the desktop side of things, there is the inventory lookup functionality. So if you had this installed in your warehouse, you have the ability to do an inventory lookup search here. So I'm just going to go ahead and do my HD40. So you see here I have access to all of my locations, what they have on hand and what's available. And then I also have the ability down here based on what tabs are turned on. I can see the orders that these items are sold on. If they're allocated to orders, I can see those documents, my bin layout, user fields, if I'm tracking those within SalesPad. And then if it's a serialized item, I could definitely see the lots or serial as well. Now this inventory lookup piece is not specifically on the handheld device, but if you were looking for a solution for your warehouse team to have the ability to have some high-level inventory lookup, this data collection piece is great because you could have this installed in your warehouse and it's not taking one of your GP seats. So everything that you would have access here in your warehouse is not using up one of your GP seats for someone from the warehouse to log in and take a look at that. Now, we talked about from a purchasing standpoint that when those receipts are generated off of the handheld device, those still need to be posted within GP. And then the other is the same for other inventory functionality that's handled from the handheld. I'm going to go ahead and we'll just pull up the slide here. So for example, if we are doing site transfers on the handheld device, we can generate and begin that site transfer, but ultimately that site transfer would need to be posted within GP. Now bin transfers, if you're transferring items from one bin to another, because they do not require a GP posting, when those are completed from the handheld, those would go through immediately. We'll see if this pulls back up here. Now, for those of you who are using GP manufacturing, we have built out on the Windows version a manufacturing entry component. So within that manufacturing component, when you are building out your bombs, you have the ability to pick your items for that bomb and then also take in or reverse scrap directly from the handheld device. Hopefully I can get that up here to show you. And as I work through this, thank you so much for your patience. This has been working smoothly all day today, and now just suddenly, apparently, it thinks it's 5 o'clock and wants to start ending for the day. Okay, so just to highlight for those of you using GP manufacturing, we'll take a look at the manufacturing transaction window here. Transaction types, you'll notice you can issue, reverse issue, scrap, and reverse scrap. So really what this field is giving you is, when you think of the GP side of things, it's giving you access to that BOM entry component screen here on your handheld device. So really what you're doing here is confirming what items you're pulling that you need for that manufacturer order. And then you have that same functionality that we've seen at the picking and receiving window. If a manufacturing order has been released, I can pick that manufacturing order and work through all of those given items that are associated with that BOM. The last piece that I want to talk here through here on the data collection side of things from a customization standpoint. SalesPad does do customizations on the data collection piece of things. And remember I said that they were both available in Windows and the iOS handheld. So if there's a certain functionality that you're using within GP that you wanted to see move to a handheld device, we could definitely take a look at, if it's not one of these functionalities, what it would take to get that into a handheld device. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and we will open it up for any questions. So Allie, I will go ahead and turn it back over to you in case there's any questions typed in, or if anyone on has any questions they want to ask verbally, we definitely have some time to review that.
All right, thank you, Lindsay. It doesn't look like we have any questions at the moment, but we can wait a few minutes to see if any pop up.
Okay, perfect. Just to highlight as we're waiting for a few questions, one of the things I didn't mention with the iOS side of things, if you're using a Windows mobile handheld scanner, when you're using an iOS device, such as an iPad or an iPod, we have tested wireless Bluetooth scanners. So there's a list of scanners that we have already tested that are compatible, or there's actual sleds out there, or another easy way to think of it is a case that you can actually slide the iPad mini into, or the iPod that has a scanner built in for scanning functionality.
All right, it doesn't look like we have any questions today, but like I said, I will be calling tomorrow. If you think of any questions, you can just ask me then. So I want to thank everybody for joining today's webinar. A big, big thank you to Lindsay.
Thank you, Allie, so much for inviting me, and thanks again, everyone, for your patience as I worked through those technical difficulties there.
Yes, so thank you everybody, and have an awesome week.